Hi everyone, my name is Sunehra. I'm currently a Master's of Health Informatics student at the University of Toronto. I've had the opportunity to work as a Health AI intern on Vector's Health and Technology team, and I'm happy to present my topic for today, which is building consensus, stakeholder-driven use case discovery for AI applications in the mental health care space. I would like to begin by acknowledging my wonderful team members on this project who've consistently supported me throughout my time here at Vector. So let's look into the importance of systemic stakeholder engagement and collaboration. So at Vector, we collaborate with external partners across a wide range of projects. And I found that systemic approach to stakeholder engagement and collaboration consistently ensures three key outcomes: informed decision-making, transparency and accountability, and strong project alignment. These outcomes in turn drive broader successes, such as building stronger relationships and trust, increasing project success rates, and creating a competitive advantage. During my internship over the summer, I had the opportunity to apply a systemic stakeholder engagement approach through a collaboration between Vector and a suicide crisis helpline. In this project, our shared goal was to leverage data and AI to strengthen the effectiveness of suicide crisis services. Our project spans over the course of 3 phases. Phase 1 is AI/ML use case exploration prioritization, where we identify, defined, and prioritized use cases. In phase 2, which is AI/ML implementation planning, the central focus is to really develop a strategic plan for AI implementation and ensure AI readiness. And lastly, for phase 3, which is AI/ML solution development, our goal is really to develop, test, and pilot the AI models. And I'm happy to announce that my topic of interest for today is modeled after phase 1, as we've just recently finished this part of our collaboration. So the first portion of setting the stage for a successful partnership is designing the engagement strategy. The engagement strategy serves as a foundation for how well you're able to communicate and collaborate with your external stakeholders, and I like to organize it based on the 5 Ws, which help organize components in a way to ensure there's equitable decision-making and that there's proper communication being facilitated. So on this table here, you can see how we divided the different components of this project under each category. So for example, who are the key stakeholders that are involved that we are targeting? What insights and decisions are required for this collaboration? Where should these engagements take place? When should these engagements take place? And when is an optimal time to manage logistics in between engagements? And lastly, why? Why are diverse stakeholder perspectives required? And why is this an optimal approach for this project? Building on the last slide, I want to walk you through how those 5 Ws really help shape the strategy of help shape phase 1 of this project. So we start with 2 main workshops. In workshop 1, our goal was really to get everyone on the same page. And this included introducing AI concepts, understanding what resources each stakeholder brought to the table, and brainstorming potential use cases together. After that session, our team pulled the ideas together and consolidated them. And then the use cases went through a user discovery sessions, which were targeted meetings with subject matter expertise to create more comprehensive proposals for workshop 2. In workshop 2, we took the top 2 use cases and looked at them from multiple angles, and everyone in the workshop had an opportunity to actually evaluate them using a set of clear criteria. From there, we pulled the results into a report and shared it with our stakeholders, and that's what ultimately led us to the use case that we want to move forward with. So one of the main things to gather from our engagement strategy is what our stakeholders truly need. And this is a critical component to ensuring that we're investing our resources and time into a project that they need and also want. The 3 best practices that I want to highlight for ensuring that we're truly meeting our stakeholder needs are capacity, priority, and vision. So capacity is about making sure that we're working with our stakeholders in a way that actually matches their bandwidth. Can their needs be addressed in a reasonable and feasible way? And do they have the resources that we need to inform and support this collaboration? Next is priority. How important is this initiative for the stakeholders? How does it fit within their current challenges and align with our broader organizational values? And lastly, vision. What do our stakeholders ultimately want to see come out of this collaboration, and how do they see the results taking shape? So for example, in our case, we asked our stakeholders for sample use cases that gave us a better idea of how to approach this project better. Upon understanding what our stakeholders need, we can now move on to knowledge transfer and alignment. Knowledge transfer and alignment is about what each participant in a collaboration brings to the table. In our case, we worked with multiple stakeholders, each contributing unique perspectives and expertise, and we created these opportunities for knowledge exchange through workshops and multiple meetings in between engagements. And this process really helped us build a cohesive understanding of how to approach the project and also spark a lot of conversation. So from Vector's side, we provided an introduction to AI, how it applies in the mental health care space, as well as addressed our technical capabilities as well. Our stakeholders contributed critical perspectives and resources from within their own context, and this helped capture the full picture and become more well-informed from all angles. Now we move on to how we work together to actually develop the use cases. Brainstorming and use case ideation was a key component for workshop 1. And during this session, we also introduced an evaluation criteria, which I'll be sharing with you next. So here are the 6 evaluation criteria with their associated weightings. This was developed in collaboration with our external stakeholders, and their input was necessary to ensuring that we're creating the right dimensions to evaluate the use cases down the line. So the criteria here are strategic alignment, potential impact, urgency, feasibility, sustainability and maintainability, and risk and ethics. In workshop 1, participants were divided into 5 cross-functional groups to really encourage diverse brainstorming. And guided by the evaluation criteria you saw earlier, we had targeted questions to really spark discussions. As you can see on the right here, these are the potential use cases that we came up with, of which 2 were selected for further analysis. As we progress along our engagement strategy, we've now reached the stage where we have successfully consolidated our 2 use cases that emerged from our brainstorming session. Now we can move on to user discovery sessions. User discovery sessions were targeted meetings that were held between workshop 1 and 2 with subject matter expertise, and the goal was really to explore the 2 use cases in greater detail to develop comprehensive proposals for workshop 2. So we engaged the most critical teams to help shape these proposals, which included data and operations, leadership, project management, technology and engineering, as well as quality assurance. Once these use case proposals were set, which gave stakeholders the entire picture of how to roll out either use case, it comes down to use case evaluation and analysis. This brings us to the core of workshop 2. To expand further, in workshop 2, we presented our 2 use cases and then provided everyone in the workshop an opportunity to evaluate them using a standardized criteria, which is modeled after the evaluation criteria you saw earlier. And for us, it was on a Google form that everyone submitted. We then looked at those results and shared with them in real time to generate discussion and analysis and insights that they could draw from. This leads us to consensus building and prioritization. Here are the results from our survey, which are displayed here as graphs. The average score on the y-axis, as you can see, are Likert scale from 1 to 5 for each evaluation criteria. And the average evaluation criteria scores were then multiplied by their respective weightings that you saw earlier, and then summed to give you an overall average weight that you can see here below. So the closer the score is to 5, the more optimal the use case is, for which in our case, it seemed that use case 1 was just a little bit higher. The scoring essentially provided us with a basis to form a use case report that we could share with our external stakeholders for review. And upon review, we finally arrived at a consensus for our final use case selection, which is descriptive analysis of call and text interactions. As we wrap up, there are 3 key points I want to leave you with. First, collaboration is at the heart of building impactful AI solutions in mental health care. By engaging stakeholders early and often, we ensure that our use cases are grounded in real needs. Second, a clear and structured process moving from workshops to evaluation criteria and then to iterative feedback really gives us the foundation to make these informed and balanced decisions. Finally, aligning on shared vision not only fosters trust, but also sets the foundation for sustainable implementation and meaningful change. So looking ahead, we'll finalize and develop our use cases, continuously keep our stakeholders in the loop, and this consensus-driven model can continue to guide future initiatives in mental health care. At the end of the day, when we build solutions with stakeholders, we create AI that truly makes a difference. Thank you for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to.
You showed the overall scores between the 2 use cases. Why do you think that they were so close? And can you share what the defining elements were for going with one over the other?
So the reason why I think a lot of them were close is we had multiple different stakeholders be involved in our process. I think a lot of people had different preferences for such, which probably led to such a close close score between the two, but I can also see that during our stakeholder sessions, there were a preference for both of the use cases, which we couldn't roll out both at the same time, which is why the scores were a lot closer. What was the second part of the question, by the way?
Why do you think use case 1 was selected over use case 2?
Well, the overall score was also higher, but I think also discussing with our internal team what seemed like the more feasible option to go with, and the one that's more prepared and ready in terms of resources as well. Use case 1 was more aligned with, which is why we decided to move forward with use case 1. The question.
So one of the things I was curious about in the survey, the different aspects that you had there, I imagine you surveyed the stakeholders on their assessment of those various criteria. I'm wondering, across the various stakeholders, like their expertise and ability to actually accurately rate some of those seems like it might be challenging, and also something that would be hard to calibrate. So I'm curious if there's any insights you have.
Of course, that's a really good
in
question.
that process.
That was actually one of the concerns we originally had when creating these surveys, was to ensure that we're getting the right input from different people. So, which is why in the beginning of the survey, we actually had a portion where we asked them, like, what do you represent on the team and from like what group? So we had a better idea of which of the stakeholders had more of a preference for certain things compared to another. So that really helped us in our final decision as well when it came down to like use case selection.
What are our next steps gonna look like? Is it going to be rolled out and deployed to specific stakeholders, or is it just going to a small group?
Right, so now that we have our use case selected, we are moving on to phase 2, which is implementation and planning. So that consists of just ensuring that we are gathering the right resources and the right material from all the stakeholders that are involved in creating a strategic plan that we can agree on when it comes to rolling out the solution in the long term.
And who's the target audience? How broad is that?
So
Is it just
So it is this, I don't want to say too much, but it is this, it is the stakeholders that we're currently working with. There's just multiple that are involved within the project. I'm sure when it gets pulled out, we will have further details to like
share
share.
your ambition?
Yeah.
It's not really related to your presentation, but what was your favorite part of your summer internship?
What would be my favorite time at my internship?
Yeah.
I think I had a really great team to work with, and it's not because they're just sitting in the room here today, but they truly made a huge difference in terms of like my time here at Vector. I've learned a lot from them, and they provided me with so many learning opportunities, sometimes going out of their way more than they need to, and that's something that I really appreciate. So, yeah.